Yeah.
Hey guys, Richard here from Startup Weekend USA. We're live here with Dee and Nathan and our special guests, Intell Haysfield and Patrick Harris Jr. from Collective Effort. We're going to ask a couple of questions. Dee's going to lead that, listen to some music, and invite you to come join us for our final presentations tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the internet, startupweekend.us. There it is. Dee, take it away.
So we were actually just talking backstage, and I'm just going to continue this conversation. We were talking about community and then how community intersects with entrepreneurship. And so Jamel and Patrick were talking about that they opened up a co-working space for creatives. And so my first question was, do the creatives know that they are entrepreneurs? And so they were walking through that they're starting to, that it's been a journey. And so you guys, do you want to give a little summary of that?
Yeah, I'll start it. Pat, president of Collective Effort. So yeah, we opened a co-working space officially on February 26th or something like that this year. But we've been on like the co-working journey for a little bit, maybe about 6 months, maybe a year prior to that, trying to find space. And that really came from like us being creative, trying to figure out like, all right, well, we know that we can like do some work together, and how do we create space for all folks that are around us right now that are in the same space of like, how do I produce a thing on my own? How do I like take my craft and turn it into like a profession? And so our team, we're about 6 people right now. We've been basically trying to figure out like solutions for that for like the last year or so. We actually started as a marketing and media company because we do marketing, and we worked with like a bunch of big brands and things like that. And like folks have been like finding that like, oh, okay, wow, you can take like, I'm really good at photography and turn it into like a service. And so a lot of people have been trying to like come to grips with like, how do I figure out how to do something like that? And we've been helping trying to solve that problem and help the folks answer that question for themselves.
I love it. So I was going to give you a short story, and then that was going to, now I'm the only one on the screen. That was going to lead to another question, which was when I was in Charleston and hashtag Mama Bear of tech and startup community, there was a moment that really stood out to me. So I was running 2 co-working spaces at the time, one a tech specific co-working space, and then one an entrepreneurship. Right. And how are those two? It's the same thing where you're talking about creative tech, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember this moment. There was a guy who was in the music tech scene, and he was up one night at the entrepreneurship co-working space. And I see this girl walk in, and she's got paint all over her shirt. So it's very clear she's been painting. She's in the art scene. Yeah. And she is just sitting around with this team of coders and music people. And I'd never seen her around before. So being Mama Bear, I go up and I say, hey, I'm Dee. What brings you here? Are you excited? She goes, well, yeah, I went through art school. People taught me about doing art, but I find that I just want to be around this team and be in this space because nobody ever taught me about business.
Yeah.
And so I just want to like sit in this space and soak it up. And that was such a fundamental shift for me to realize, oh, she has never been brought into this world, but there's all of these things, resources that should be for her, just like everybody else. But it's that shift in vernacular where people don't know that a thing is for them because they don't know to identify as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that to be true?
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things for me when it comes to entrepreneurship, and the reason why I'm an entrepreneur is because I've seen it growing up, and a lot of people don't have that. People aren't empowered to think that they can jump outside of the hamster wheel and like build their own environment, really. And that's what community is. So when I was able to see that my uncle owned an arcade in a store, and my aunt owned a beauty salon, like I knew I could own a multimedia studio, and I knew I could create whatever I wanted to based upon what skills I'm building. And I think when people come into things like Collective Effort and they attend things like Power Breakfast Club, which we helped build, it's like we know that we can create our book or we can make money doing photography because I see someone right next to me who's just like me who's doing it. So like that is super powerful, and that's the power of community.
It's true. I want to put this question back to Nathan of you. So you just used the term "just like me," and I think when we talk about entrepreneurship and inclusivity is a big part of my heart too. And looking at how do we get all different types in the room, and looking at what does it mean to see that there is somebody just like me, and shifting that understanding to exactly that. So if I'll just use the subset of creatives. If creatives know that they belong in the same room as tech entrepreneurs, because there's the just like me mentality, imagining what it could look like if when we have tech, creative, food, beverage, mom and pop shops, investor, when we have all of these subsets in the room together, do we actually become stronger? And how do we get there? And so Nathan, I want to open that up to you too.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Nathan, before you answer, I'm gonna bring up Jacqueline. She's on our organizing team. She just joined us. She's gonna.
Hi guys.
All right, Nathan, go ahead.
So I guess to answer that question, I actually kind of want to talk about an organization I used to be president of in Springfield, Missouri, of all places. And I am yet to see a bigger community do something as cool as what they did to combine the creative world with the entrepreneurial world, because they're so similar. It's almost like just the difference of like an extrovert versus introvert mindset, even though they really have a lot of the same ambition. So the nonprofit was called Springfield Creatives, and it was a platform for everybody of all different creative backgrounds to come together and learn about business aspects and a creative mindset. So we would have like accounting for freelancing. We would have like how to write a contract, like all of the simple stuff that you might learn in a business class. But if you go to art school and you're wanting to work for yourself, you're not learning that. That's for sure. So that was a really cool aspect. And something that we saw was when you had organizations like that in a community and they were tied to the business incubator, or they were tied to organizers within the startup community, we had a lot of designers available for our startup weekend down there. So we had some really cool creative, we're talking like, oh my gosh, like the whole like presentation would be this gorgeous animated thing that they like, and yeah, it's just really cool to see stuff like that. And so yeah, I guess I kind of got off topic a little, or like moved a little bit, but yeah, I mean, definitely like I definitely saw the applications of more creative ideas and creative minded people moving into the business world, seeing those nonprofits and those different, like slightly different ideas, but same mission, community development, professional development communities collaborate with each other. And I think it's important as well that when, just like we're focusing on collaborating with people from different areas of the nation right now to solve these problems, that we're also focusing on finding people within your own community that maybe are bringing some skills to the table that you weren't thinking about, but would do an incredible job to help out your mission or your business. Someone doing a mural for you on a giant building, like super artistic, cool mural that supports your mission to make the community better, is, I think, a cool way of combining both your business and their business. And that mural will be there forever. I think I saw some city the other day pull down some advertisements that were on a building for like 50 years. And right behind it, this gorgeous mural of a bunch of whales on a brick wall, just hiding right behind it. And they're like, oh my gosh, who's this artist? So yeah, kind of a rant, but creatives are awesome.
Creatives are awesome. Hashtag.
Yeah,
Hey
right.
guys, I just want to say I love what's going on here. I'm catching a little bit of a gist here, but I need to just hop off real quick, take care of something, and I'll pop back in. And hopefully you guys are still rocking it. But nice to see all your faces.
Good.
Bye.
Later.
Love it. Jamel, Patrick, what have you guys seen?
I mean, as I think about like the barriers or blocks between like between the creatives who don't recognize yet that they are able to like make something and like, you know, be able to like sustain themselves off of it. I like pair that with like looking at the business community, right? Like it's not foreign that like a lot of business leaders, you know, they spend time talking to one another to like figure out how like to solve problems, right? That's like a thing that happens when you're in the owner class, right? Like you get to like engage with these folks that are dealing with the same kinds of responsibilities and roles that like you're trying to navigate. How do you like make this thing work for yourself and whatever, you know, your end game is, and their end game, you know, being profit, right? And so I think about that as like a thing that is a piece of what is keeping, you know, creators back from being able to like move into that kind of world a little bit, because there's not a lot of spaces that are dedicated to us, right? It's like it's the ability for people to clash and figure out like, oh, you know that thing, oh, I know this thing. Together, those things make this, you know, that happening, you know, is a thing that just like isn't really like common on time, you know, right now at least. And so like the importance of space right now for creatives is like at its like all-time high, right? Because like we see what we can do like individually by ourselves. Now imagine what it would be like, you know, if we were able to do a thing together, you know. I think so, like, you know, as we look at, you know, what's happened in the Capital District, Capital Region in New York right now, like, you know, it's been, you know, the last like decade, right? It's been like a couple of Brooklyn folks, you know, have come up here. They've opened a really, you know, a couple of like really cool like wine bars and that kind of stuff. But then also it's like, you know, a handful of folks that decided to stay, like myself. Like I'm from Long Island. I came up here to go to engineering school, and I was like, I'm not that great at physics. I'm going to figure out like how to do like photography, video, you know, art and stuff like that. And ended up staying here. And then you got someone like Jamel, who's actually from here. We also went to the same school, but he left, went to the city, went and, you know, got a master's, and like came back, right? And so it's like the combination of these different kinds of people with all of these different kinds of experiences that all, you know, found a place together, help create like this new budding creative economy. We're at like the fourth largest economy now in the Capital Region, right? And that was a thing that no one was even privy to outside of the fact that like, you know, there was all of a sudden like a cool pop-up showing up, and then like, you know, I would throw like a party on the top of like a parking garage, you know, things like that, like random stuff like that started creating like a conversation around like, oh shit, there's really cool people around here. And like the more we can try to create environments that help that happen, you know, it gives the ability for people to like clash and like grow together, you know, it changes everything really.
Yeah.
And if I could piggyback on that, one of the things that I definitely noticed with creatives is the environment. Being around other people like you is so much more important with people with creative backgrounds and people that are doing creative industries, almost more than people doing anything else, because the work that they do is they're creating things from inside, you know, whether it's music or art or a graphic. I mean, it's part of their personality comes out when they do something. So if it doesn't go well, or they're not getting the traction that they thought they were going to, it goes beyond not liking, like, you know, if I put out something that's not creative, like if I put out an iPhone, I don't know, if I make a new phone and they're like, well, this kind of sucks because it doesn't work, I'd be like, well, shit, they don't like the phone. Like, I'm not going to take that on a personal attack against me necessarily. But if I put my heart and soul into a painting or a song and it's not perceived well, then it's, oh, they didn't relate to what I was trying to portray through my emotions on this, which is something that I've noticed talking to a lot of creatives. So I think, yeah, it definitely, that environment for creatives to be able to be around other people to grow. Like you have to have that to start. Like that's the heart, and then the blood is the, I don't know, but you know, it's the heart. And then there's a whole analogy there that I'm sure it could come up with.
Yeah, I think we try to box people in too much, and Patrick and I come from a privileged space of going to a very technical engineering school and being in a program that kind of combined technology and arts and business. So we've been having to navigate all of those spaces for, like a decade now. So we can it's like, we see the Matrix and we see that all of these people, they're not that different, but when you're going to get a grant or when you're going to look for a space or when you're doing these different things, they want to box you in and say, you can't get this grant unless you're tech nano based, or like you can't be a part of this program unless you're a creative or something like that. When it's like, you go to Google or you go to Facebook or something like that, those aptitude tests are based off of creativity and they're not based off of your technical knowledge. It's like, how creative of a problem solver are you?
So true. I have been called elsewhere for now, but my question that I would like to leave you guys with to answer is in this same vein. So here's my parting question to answer. Is when I think about a corporation and a startup merging, I think there's often lessons to be learned on both sides, and those get lost. So I think, the startup is getting access to all of these resources and the firepower behind it, right? But the corporation also has the ability to learn from the startup of remembering what agility feels like and remembering what being responsive to your market. And so when I think about traditional economic development efforts and grants and just the way people think about entrepreneurship, what does that community need to learn from the creative community, from the maker space community, et cetera? Because one of the things that initially sparked in my mind was just the grit to say, stop talking about it and just go do it. So like if there's a thing bubbling up outside of you, creatives are the first people that are like, let me just go. Let me just get me in a recording studio. Like, let's go. And so that's my final question to you guys is, what does the traditional entrepreneurship, economic development, grant space need to learn? And with that, I've got to sign off, but I can't wait to rewatch this and see your answers.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag do something.
Hashtag do something. Yeah, that's actually our brand ethos. It was like before COVID, we were going to release a whole do something campaign, which we're sitting on for a little while, but and a podcast. So keep up with that. Follow us on our pages. We're starting to do something podcast, but yeah, that's literally our brand ethos. And that's kind of the message we have for literally every space that we're in. So we're structured, we're not a nonprofit. We're structured as an LLC, but we're really structured like a co-op. 6 of us are all co-owners. And our equity split is extraordinarily fair. No one's vastly over one another. And really, I think that it came from us understanding that very thing, that you have to literally just go out and do a thing. And I think what happens at the high end economic development spaces that they only have a certain they have a very limited space in which they are allowed to navigate, right? And that's based off of whatever has worked in the past. And so I think that what on the creative end, on the community end, in one of our huge missions is trying to figure out how do you create the belief that a community can take care of itself, right? And then and solve its own issues and problems. And so we spend a lot of time in a lot of different kinds of rooms having that conversation with folks. And so when you think about going and getting a grant, they'll again, very, very much like Jamel said, they try to box you into this narrative that they already understand and that has traditionally worked in the past. And so it's, they get into a space of well, this thing already works, however, for the last 20 years, we know that this kind of language, we know that this kind of thing traditionally is just like, it's there and it works, so we're just going to keep it, rather than trying to figure out ways to like adapt to what is actually happening with people. And so like we spend a lot of time on the street, just like, we're down here, literally, on the street with folks that are like in it, trying to figure out like, what do I do here? And so, I think that a huge thing that the economic developers and the states, that control a lot of the grant money, they need to recognize that a lot of what they're traditionally used to funding things just aren't the kind of things that people are building anymore. And so they have to change policy and all these kinds of things to adapt to how people are actually building today, because no one's building, in the same ways, they were building in like, the 40s and 50s in the Industrial Revolution. No one's building like that anymore, and they have to figure out ways to like open up space and flexibility to be able to like fund things the way that people are actually building right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Retweet. Does anyone use Twitter still?
I don't know. Really.
I just say retweet all the time, but I don't know if anyone actually retweets anything anymore.
I mean, like Black Twitter's a real ass thing, and I love it. Like,
we used to live ass Twitter at live ass Twitter. I love that. We used to do that with 1 million cups, and people just stopped. They just stopped.
Yeah, Nathan, you're a 1 million cups guy, right?
Do what?
You're a 1 million cups guy.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. Where? What community?
Springfield, Missouri. Third largest in the nation.
Third.
Yep.
Really, that's awesome. Yeah, Jamel was telling us how he was involved way back when it first started here in Albany before I was involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So I don't know, we're in front of a whole bunch of people now, right? If we were to ask, I'm going to pull in a 1 million cups question. So you guys here in Troy, New York, hey, how can we, the community, continue to support you guys and the creative economy and really drive things forward for creatives as a whole? Because entrepreneurship isn't just about tech startups. It's about everyone. Inclusive.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to go support your artist friend, Yeah. Like, as simple as a like is on Facebook, just give them a love. Give them a see how can you help them, because it's not a one thing fix all kind of thing. Some people might need you to just get them in front of, to open a door for them. I think one of the biggest things for me, just taking that next step into like not being a part of a big massive corporation, which I worked for like a Fortune 10 company, and then starting to do my own work with corporations. It's like I just needed to know the language in between and meet those people who were like, all right, so I'm a filmmaker, videographer. Who is the person that I need to talk to at the dental association to be able to do a video for them? And like, oh, yeah, I know the marketing director. Let me get you in touch with them. And people have done things like that for me. So look to make connections for your creative friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think, like that's pretty much spot on. Like the smallest kind of support, whether, be a like and a share on, social media, it's a huge thing. I think education, is also a really, really huge thing. I mean, again, this is all about like everyone's inability to understand the language and the behaviors and like the who's who of people that are around them, that they have no idea how to talk to or connect with. And so like being that connector is like everything. It's like providing that kind of value for folks is like, it is so much. It's like, it goes so far. It goes so far, like really. I mean, like, I ended up staying here based off the fact that, like, someone told me that Jamel was still around. He was like 3-4 years ahead of me at RPI, and like after I graduated, like I was like, oh snap, what do I do? Like trying to figure out how to do a thing, and someone was like, oh, you should go talk to Jamel. Someone telling me that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And like Jamel was like my first like example of like, oh snap, you're doing a thing here. I should stay here and try to do my own thing too. That kind of stuff, it really helps change people's lives. And yeah, I mean, like any kinds of, it's like for us, right? Like we're like developing like infrastructure for doing like streaming and like all these kinds of things. And so I think again, it's just like patching information about like funding and sharing stuff and like coming and like participating, like honestly, like showing up and like, hey, I'm gonna hop on this stream with you right now. Like that's everything, right? That's like the start of one, building a relationship, and then two, fusing communities together, right? That's pretty much like the secret sauce. And like always supporting someone and doing a thing. Like if anyone's trying to like make a thing, like showing up with a hammer, for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
everything. So I mean, like literally, just keep doing stuff like that. Keep showing up for people. That's been our one secret sauce for the last 3 years that we've been going. Like we just consistent, and we're consistent in a way that we show up for people, and they respond in kind. And so like we spent like the thing that makes us different as a co-working space than a lot of places or incubator space. Was that we built our community first. Like we weren't selling a thing. We were just working and like, oh, you guys want to work too? Okay, cool. Let's like create a space for that. And then, that birthed Power Breakfast Club. And that's like 1,700, people, 1,600 people now after cultivating this community for like 3 years. And like, that was literally just us like sharing information and just showing up every Tuesday morning, 6:30 in the morning, at local coffee shops and like, other small organizations that will open up the space to us, It's really just like, can you be there consistently for folks? And we've basically taken that strategy and we use that as like our approach to marketing for organizations.
I'd love to throw in a great example of a kind of like a wraparound, like full circle, everyone helping everyone scenario that just came to my mind as you guys were talking. The big thing for businesses to realize and professionals is the value that a creative is bringing to the table. First off, if they're doing something you can't, there's value there. Like, first off, the example that I'm thinking of is there was this business that decided to, like, it was like a consulting business for, I don't even remember. It was a couple years ago, but they sponsored this film festival, and the film, they're essentially like, oh, we just think this is really cool. And we love going to the award ceremony every year, and it's cool to see all these films that come in, and it's like a local like 48-hour film festival. So they sponsored it, and then one of the filmmakers had their boss come in to check out the videos, and then he ended up getting a promotion because the boss really liked what he was able to produce in 48 hours. So he went from like warehouse guy to like head of marketing. And then right after that, like a year later, the guy that was promoted to head of marketing went to the consulting place and was like, hey, I'd love to just like help you rebrand a little bit because I've made like an extra $40,000 a year thanks to you guys helping sponsor this thing that we didn't think we were going to be able to do. So it was like a really cool like turnarounds, like, business supporting creatives, creative supporting business. And it just came to my head and I had to share it. I thought it was a really cool thing to happen.
Yeah, man. That's it.
Ooh, we're echoing. You're too close over there.
Echo.
Oh, is it me?
You moved.
I'm blaming Richard.
You blame me? All right. I'm just gonna hide.
On that note, though, Richard's leaving. Okay. On that note, I gotta head out because I have some teams I have to facilitate. But it was great meeting you guys.
Great to meet you.
Greg, Nathan. Oh, I saw Grant in here. But Nathan, I'm going to pull you off and you can go back to your teams. We are in the middle of an event, a 54-hour startup weekend, right? Nathan, real quick, tell everyone what startup weekend is. We have some folks watching.
Yeah. Hopefully I stay on because I totally clicked leave studio, but I'm holding my finger on the button. So I don't leave it.
You put your hand on the
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep my finger here. Repeat the question.
Yeah, real quick. We have some folks watching. I share this out to our communities. What is Startup Weekend? Tell everyone.
Oh my gosh, Startup Weekend. First off, I've been in Startup Weekend for I think 5 years now, participating, facilitating, and organizing. It's just incredible. 54-hour event. Sounds like it's a really long time. It is a really long time, but it is a super fun time. And the whole purpose of the event is to inspire people to follow their dreams, follow their passions, come up with ideas to solve problems within the community. Maybe it's something that you're having within your own profession. Solve problems, bring ideas to the table, and really just inspire entrepreneurship and creativity within your community and yourself. Also meet new people, and there's sometimes free food or a keg of beer available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is this so special? We're all virtual. We're all at home. What are we doing?
Oh my gosh, this event is so.
Don't let go of your finger. I
know. I'm like, gotta trade fingers here because okay, there we go. I'm using a different finger now. So anyways, this event is so incredible because first off, I can't thank the organizing team enough for within like less than 30 days, essentially canceling all of the events that were happening globally and then saying, hey, what if we just did a global-wide startup weekend? Just for shits and grins, I guess. And then, yeah, it's turned out incredible. This weekend is fantastic. It's a great way to bring the country together in a time that's most needed to find solutions to problems that all Americans are facing right now, whether it be problems with a disruption in education that you're having, whether it being the obvious health problems or community problems or just missing hanging out with people. Whatever the problem is, there's I think you said 700 people signed up.
900 plus.
Yeah. All those people signed up because they wanted to help fix this problem with other people across the nation. And I think that's effing cool.
Yeah, we got people from all over the world too, not just the US, right? We love being inclusive, and we got people from as far as Asia and Africa and Europe. Yeah. All the continents, I'm sure, are represented in all the participants.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody from Italy was actually participating in the United States one because they thought it was cool and they understood English or something like that. I was like, that's cool.
Nathan, is your finger getting tired? You can go.
I switched fingers again. I'm good. But any other questions?
Yeah, so can you guys just really quickly, because I just started a watch party. So for people who don't really understand what Startup Weekend is, and specifically this one, what are you doing? What is the problem?
I'm going to bring Grant on too. He's going to join us. Go ahead. Grant.
All right, I'm going to run out. My team needs me.
All right, go. Nathan.
All right.
Bye.
Dude.
Nathan's a facilitator. He's actually kind of like a guide, a mentor to a whole bunch of teams. And so his teams are like, hey, Nathan, I need you to come help me. And they're getting ready to pitch tomorrow to present what they built. So I brought in Grant to tell us a little bit more.
Yep.
Awesome. So the big 30,000 foot level of a general startup weekend is practicing entrepreneurship. So you go to the gym and you do push-ups, or you pump some iron, and that works your muscle. In the same way, we have to work that entrepreneurial muscle, and Startup Weekend is that gym for us. You take Friday through Sunday, and you group a team around a problem space or an idea, and then you use the weekend to validate and de-risk that idea. Then on Sunday, you pitch that in a final presentation to the judges, and we name a top 3 winner, and they get real prizes to take that idea forward. The cool thing, though, about a startup weekend is even though you're working on an idea and you get real prizes, what you take away is not the company. You know, that practice in a startup weekend brings about a new network, new skills, new appreciation, new energy, so that wherever you go on Monday, be it a boardroom or a classroom, that's where you are taking those things that you got over the weekend. You're taking them to wherever you go on Monday. That's what it's really about. So this edition is a remote, since we're in this time, and it's COVID-19. So we made these themes, these 6 themes around vulnerable populations, health, all the things that people are wrestling with. And then we're just throwing that at a startup weekend to try and make the world a better place.
Really? And the power of doing something like this really isn't, it's not the end result. It's not whether you place first, second, or third. It's the journey and the people that you meet, the things you learn, the kind of ever-loving hell that you put yourself through, and the bonds that you make, right? And you're expected, and you push yourself to kind of experience the first year of building a startup in 3 days. And once you do that, once you hit your limit and you push yourself past it, you realize that you really don't have limits. That's why I love doing these. I've done in-person ones. I've done virtual ones. I went on a startup bus last year, which was the same format. And so these really bring people together, teach you skills. And being an entrepreneur, you guys know I'm an entrepreneur. I used to help run an entrepreneurship center, and like I could, all the theory, yeah, I have, but putting it into practice, doing it over and over and over again, it's the training that you need to build yourself up and be a stronger entrepreneur, and things I take from it. Maybe I have a company and a team that I can move forward with, but maybe it's the lessons that I learned that I can apply to my current companies and my current businesses and go and continue to help others.
Dude, that's some of my favorite. What's up, Patrick?
No, I was gonna say that's like, it's literally like how we got here. Like, you know, I remember maybe like 2013 or something like that. I was just like a random creative in Troy, like shooting video, doing graphic design for like, you know, like new restaurants and stuff like that, trying to figure my way. And like, what do I want to do? Right. Like, you know, I came out of school with like this wide skill set of like how to do media and like so many different like forms. Like, what do I do? How do I do it? And so I remember just like, at one point I found myself, with an opportunity. I was like doing photography, and we have like this thing called the Troy Flea Market, and like they fit up like these huge buildings, like 3 floors of just like mad vendors. And so I was like one of the photographers there, and I just happened to be in a room where like this group, it had like this experience to it, right? And they were like, "Yo, we should do this like every month." And I was like, "All right, cool, I'll organize it." I am totally against like throwing events. I'm not an event person. I rarely like going out to events, but like, it was like an opportunity that like this group of people that were like excited about. And then I'm like a marketer. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to translate your excitement into like a thing. And so I organized a pop-up for like 4 months with literally no like idea about how to manage a pop-up at all, from anything outside of like the marketing. And I just did it. Right. And like, it was like one of my other friends, we were like, all right, let's just like try it out. I mean, like, you know, I did 4 or 5 of them. Like 2 of them were like really good. The other 3 were like, nah. But like, I took that experience with like this whole new like skill set and understanding about like how to manage an event, how to run an event, what are the kinds of things I need to be thinking about to make like a dope event. And so like what that translated into was like, now here we are 3 years later, a media and marketing organization, and like figuring out how to like get a like what is a good like event, you know, director. You know, I have that knowledge now, and like she's one of our partners, you know. And so like if it wasn't for the fact that I did that pop-up in 2013, you know, for those 4 months, that taught me like all the things, I was able to then identify the person that I needed to hire or like, you know, offer a partnership to like help build a thing together. So, I mean, like literally doing something is literally everything that matters for folks that are in our position. Like, you just got to start. You got to start, and you finesse it all later, and you know it kind of solves itself. There's like all the problems. There's always any problems, and the biggest one is that like, you know, you just have to start. And so as soon as you like do that, everything else kind of falls into place.
Right, really, you can have a really great plan and you can do whatever, but once you get your first customer, once you go out and talk to people, it all falls apart, and you got to rebuild it and you got to reshape it, pivot, and iterate. Right? Yeah, go ahead.
I just said start now, improve later. That's it.
Exactly. Right. Done is better than perfect, or start is better than perfect. I don't know.
Hashtag perfect ain't worth it.
Hey.
Well, I mean, and you're never there anyway, right? So being a designer, I go into whatever I'm doing with design is my process. That's the way I go about it. And we talk about versions, right? You're always making things better. You might pump out a version along the way, and some people might call that the final version. You're always though making that better. Literally.
Yeah. Dude, look at video games right now, right? Look at Fortnite, Call of Duty, like all of these like great battle royale.
That's the game.
Like literally all it is like update after update after update after update. All you got to do is build the platform first, build the infrastructure, work, make it accessible for people, then you just improve as you keep going. And
Right.
for anybody to tell you that like that is not the way, they're just trying to keep you from doing that thing, probably because you got a great idea and they want to take it. Like, I mean,
Exactly.
there's literally no reason. Like I get so, I'm just like animated and excited right now, but like this is literally like our whole lives.
Thank you, Pixar, right? Pixar and the idea that the Pixar universe, that everything's connected in some way. They're doing that. And they're perpetuating each of their movies based on how are they all fitting together in this underlying narrative that it's all one thing. Okay. Whatever you want to apply it to, you got to keep moving on it. Yeah.
And I don't think people are usually scared. People aren't usually trying to steal your ideas. What they are thinking is like they're projecting their fears onto you. I can't blame, people who, like, when I left the cushy job and went into entrepreneurship for myself, I can't blame people for not understanding that, because that's not their world. It's just not.
I get that a lot. I get a lot of questions of, hey, should I tell people about my idea or what I'm working on? Will they steal it? Like, can I still patent it? Or can I, like, what if like people do it and like, what if big company, what if Google does it tomorrow? And I'm like, well, let's unpack that first.
What if they did it?
Well, yeah, what if they did it, right? If they did it, then they did it. So that's out of your control, and you're probably, whoops, right? It was a great idea. But second, telling people, asking for feedback, doing customer discovery. Like, what if one of my potential customers steals it? Why, right? Everyone has so many things that they're doing, and their ideas don't mean anything without execution, right? Ideas, you could have an idea for a great search engine. Everyone did back in the day, right? And Google came in late and they did it better. They came out with the PageRank algorithm, and they did it better than everyone else. It's about how you implement it, how you do it, how you build on top of it. Yahoo was there before Google was. So ideas aren't anything without execution. It's really about your passion for the idea, how much you think it will change the world, how much you think it will impact people, and it's really why you're doing it. You can have a great idea and not do anything with it, or it won't be successful because it doesn't fire you up, right? Entrepreneurship is hard. We all know that. We work day in, day out, 16, 17, 18, 20-hour days, and we don't sleep, we don't shower because we're chasing this idea and doing this whatever. And if you're not that passionate about what you're doing, if it's not solving a big problem and need for yourself, anyone can have that idea. You can just give it away for free and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, man. Entrepreneurship is not hard.
Entrepreneurship is hard.
What's hard is like when you're sitting in that job that is sucking your life away and you start thinking, 20, 30 years from now when I have to look back on my life, and like that has to be the toughest thing in your life. The regret is so much harder than the grind.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, right. I remember working at a software company, and my boss had never like actually done marketing at scale before. They were just like a blogger, and they got hired as like a director. And like me coming in, like I was like, oh snap, there's a bunch of stuff that like you're asking me about that you don't actually know the answers to, and like being stuck under like that's like that was hard, or being like in a position where like, oh, okay, I know that I can go do this other thing, and I can't for whatever reason, whether it be because I'm looking for the comfortability of, a stable paycheck, or I'm like something like that, some other thing that's like keeping you from it. Like that's really hard. I mean, I remember sitting in that software company, knowing full well that I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was there for like, I needed some money right now. I was like, I need something that's going to like give me seed funding to start my own thing or something like that. That like 5-6, months that I was there, that was probably one of the hardest things that I'd ever gone through. And like, I developed anxiety from it, like truly. And so like, I remember the day that I'd like quit, just like flat out just quit, I was just like, man, I'm like, I have no idea like what's ahead of me right now. But I felt so relieved, like so completely and utterly relieved of like being able to like walk out the door, having found like, I found like this like boilerplate, like downloaded from the internet, like I'm quitting letter. I didn't even write one. I literally
I'm out of here.
no time for this. I'm destined to do something way cooler than this. And like living, like sliding that on her desk and then being like, peace. That was everything. You know,
like,
that,
I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's not this.
but it's definitely not this. You know, and honestly, that 5 months was like the hardest I ever felt about myself, like trying to figure out how am I gonna survive this? You know, like knowing full well that I'm not supposed to be here. How am I gonna survive it?
So I was a teacher for a few years, and it's kind of like government work. Like there's a big bureaucracy tiered system, right, of who's in charge of what and who and whom, whatever the hell. And one of the other teachers at one point asked me, like, you're not a company man, are you? Right? And what he was asking me was like, you don't just go with whatever the company says is the best line. And in a way I wanted to be like, yeah, you're right, I really don't. But at the same time I was like I'm a really company man. What I'm doing is for the betterment of this company. Yeah, some people are confused and don't get what I'm saying or why what I'm saying makes sense for the boots on the ground people. But that's not my fault. I'm doing my best to convey it. I'm going to try better, of course. So like that maybe like 50s, 60s, quote unquote, company man where like whatever the company says, I'll do it. I'm a yes man versus the new age company man, which is I'm going to do what's best and we're going to grow this shit and it's going to be awesome because I'm working my ass off and I know everyone else here is. And that's why we're loyal to this place because we want to see it successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, we could sit here talk all day about entrepreneurship, the creative economy, building community, really, right? But hey, we got an event to run, and Jamel, Intell Haysfield, Patrick, come on, thank you guys so much. You guys, we're gonna give you your evening back, and we're gonna can you play us some music to roll us out? Give us a little taste of what to expect for tomorrow.
So can you tell the people what's going on tomorrow?
Yeah, so we are doing a startup weekend virtual edition USA, part of this 80 plus country global initiative to fight back against COVID-19. So tomorrow, our teams that have formed over the past 54 hours, they're going to present. The top 10 teams are going to present what they built from these folks from all over the world, all over the country came together to fight back against COVID-19. And these folks are going to present, and Intell Haysfield and Collectiveffort will be our entertainment. And so let's hit it. Go for it.
So whether people need a special link to join tomorrow?
Good question. I'll put it up on the screen. It's going to be startupweekend.us. I'll put it up on the screen.
Put your lighters up.
Thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to spinning for you in the rest of the country tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, talking about entrepreneurship, creatives, building community. We're all the same type of people, right?
Yeah,
We
man.
love you guys. Thank you.
Let's keep making stuff.
I love you back too. Come on.
Hey,
Big
come on,
fat.
dude.
Bravo, y'all. Hashtag
Love you guys.
Hey,
Collective effort.
Yeah, follow us on IG, Collective FFORT. We had a live stream channel coming in like 2 weeks, actually, supporting all the local creatives around here. We're basically going to do like public access TV kind of thing and let people just come on stream and like perform, give workshops, classes, all of that, CETV.
Love that.
Look out.
All the love. All the love, guys.
all right. That's a wrap, guys. Spin us out with that. And good night.
Later.
And see you tomorrow.